Hi there, my name is Gene Wyszewski. I'm an artist, a writer, an art teacher, and a lecturer on art. And this is an example of the kind of talks I do at various museums, universities, cultural institutions, arts groups, community centers. But I also do weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs. I'll do your kid's birthday party if you don't want to hire a clown. If nothing else, I'm flexible. And this is a book I wrote. It's called The Art of Looking at Art. It was recently released by Rowman and Littlefield Publishers. And it's a basic guide to most of those questions that people have about art. And I think, though, even people who are well versed in the topic would probably learn a thing or two from it. It's all over the internet. Give a look for it. If you want to get in touch with me, this is my email, gene@genewyszewski.com. This is my website, genewyszewski.com, conveniently enough. And if you're looking for a list of my upcoming or current classes, we have that here at the6hourartmajor.com, the6hourartmajor.com. So without any further ado, let's talk about the subject of this talk, which is how Louis XIV used art and architecture for political and propaganda purposes at his court. But it's not going to be just a dull recount of 17th century French politics. There's going to be a lot of good stories, a lot of really interesting information about how the French court was run, and a lot of good gossip too, so stay tuned. Okay, so what we're looking at now on the left is the kind of centerpiece painting for this entire talk. It's a portrait of Louis XIV done when he was about 63 years old by the man in the upper right-hand corner, Hyacinthe Rigaud. We're going to talk more about the details of the painting later, but for now, suffice it to say that it shows Louis in his role as the absolute monarch of France. His very famous line was "L'État, c'est moi," which translates pretty much as "the state, why, that's me." That is to say that Louis owned France, everything in it, and that includes the populace as well. He had about 300 portraits of himself done during his 72-year reign, which, as it stands, is one of the longest reigns in the history of the world. And this particular painting was shown at the Salon of 1704. The salons were the annual and later biannual shows of the students and graduates of the Royal Academy of Painting and Sculpture, which was founded by Louis himself when he was 10 years old, with the help of his guardian, Cardinal Mazarin. Rigaud, by the way, had a very successful career painting members of the nobility. Louis XIV took the throne at the tender age of 5. He was born in 1638. This is a portrait of him at that age. So I'm over here now. I have to bounce around depending on where the picture is in the slide presentation. In any case, at the age of 10, there was a rebellion against the monarchy called La Fronde, F-R-O-N-D-E, and Louis was exiled to Germany. La Fronde lasted for 5 years, and it really did shape Louis's attitude toward the monarchy pretty much for the rest of his natural-born days. So Louis had a way of getting even with people through art. In this particular instance, he is showing how he came out on top after La Fronde, having put down the rebellion. He has himself depicted as Jupiter, the king of all the gods. He's holding a lightning bolt in his hand, and his armor is being forged by Vulcan, who is the blacksmith to all the gods. So this is showing Louis kind of in the guise of a divine being, which we're going to see a little more of in the next couple of slides. Okay, here's Louis kind of going all out with the God thing. He had himself fashioned as Le Roi Soleil, the Sun King. And he kind of took a fancy to that idea, having danced the part of the sun in a ballet as a teenager. And a little later, we're going to get into the idea of how ballet, believe it or not, was used as a tool for intimidation at the French court. And here's another little reference to Louis as the Sun King. This is a fountain of Apollo on the grounds of his palace at Versailles. Okay, we have another fountain here in the gardens of Versailles. This is Latona's fountain. Latona is not one of the Jacksons. She actually is a character in Ovid's Metamorphoses. This is an epic Roman poem written in the 1st century AD. And the story of Latona is that she is impregnated by Jupiter, the king of the gods, And Jupiter's wife Juno is extremely jealous of Latona carrying Jupiter's children, and so forbids her from giving birth to them anywhere on planet Earth. It's kind of a tall order there. But Latona gets around it thanks to a loophole provided by her friend Neptune, the god of the sea. Neptune finds her an island that is not attached to the ocean's floor and is technically, therefore, not part of planet Earth. So, having given birth to her two children, Apollo, the god of the sun, and Artemis, the goddess of the hunt, also of childbirth and chastity, it's a pretty tall order there too, she has to go wandering because she has been shunned by the peoples of Earth. So Latona is in Lycia, which is now the south of Turkey, and she's at a pond trying to get some water for herself and for her children, but a bunch of Lycian peasants prevent her from using the pond. In order to give Latona a little bit of a helping hand, Jupiter turns all the peasants into frogs and lizards. So it's thought that maybe this idea of turning peasants into frogs and lizards is kind of Louis's little dig at the peasants who took part in La Fronde. Prior to Louis XIV's reign, France imported most of its goods from other countries. Louis wanted to put a stop to this. He also wanted to turn France into Europe's cultural hub, the most fashionable court in Europe, the trendsetters, and to make France a major center of trade. So towards all these ends, he kept a really close eye on the guilds that produced luxury goods like tapestries and porcelain, things like that, that were renowned throughout Europe. He also kept a close eye on artists. He established the first art academy outside of Italy. The first art academy had been established in the mid-1500s by the Medici family in Florence. So by establishing an art academy, Louis allowing artists to go to college and receive a liberal arts education rather than receiving the education of a blue-collar craftsman, which artists previously were considered until academies started developing throughout Europe. So this is only the second academy outside of Italy, or the first academy outside of Italy. And by doing this, Louis also hoped to establish a French school of painting. So by pushing French luxury goods and art, he really wanted the quality of the goods to reflect the state and consequently him. As Ian Chilvers in the Oxford Dictionary of Art and Artists put it, I'm going to read a direct quote, art would be, quote, an instrument of state for imposing official standards and principles of taste that would help create a national artistic identity and a style appropriate for glorifying the king. Not France, by the way, but the king. So what we're looking at here is the royal gate that is the entrance to the main palace. And it is a restoration. A lot of people have argued over whether it's accurate or not. Some people have bemoaned the price of it. But I just wanted to point out one little thing. The hand here, just because it's a gate, this little hand doesn't mean it's saying, hi there, welcome to Versailles. That represents the hand of justice. So with that, we end part one. Hope you'll stick around for part two.